G'day guys, welcome back to the off season. We've got a new little series that we're going to dive into over the next 4 episodes. We're going to take the NRL ladder from 2022. We're going to divide it into 4 different pools. So we're going to have the bottom 4, the top 4 of the bottom 8, then we'll have the bottom 4 of the top 8. Then that was confusing. But I got there. You know what I'm trying to say. Impressed?
I think so.
Bit of quick maths. So we're going to start with the bottom 4. We'll keep it simple. And we're going to go through those 4 teams. So we've got the Tigers, the Warriors, the Knights, and the Titans. We're going to go through those teams and have a look at if we could bring one player back from the history of that club into their current side, who would it be? And we're more so looking at to fill a hole. Sometimes it'll just be you bring back the best possible player. But on a lot of occasions, we are trying to fill a hole. We have made a rule. For Newcastle, for example, no Joey Johns. It's obvious the really obvious one that you're going to bring back straight away. They could have the best halfback in rugby league as it stands right now. You'd probably still bring back Joey. So we're going to say no Joey for Newcastle. Outside of that, these 4 teams, it's pretty open. I've got my 5'8" joining me once again. He's getting a little bit too comfortable on the bar for my liking.
I'm loving it.
Very confident. He's with Junior Bolo, Luke Lewis one week. He's on the bar the next. It's all fucking happening.
I need to talk to Denton about this contract negotiation. Even though he probably doesn't even know I'm up here right now.
He's going to be filthy when he finds out you're up here just quiet. He's going to be beside himself. But anyway, mate, I am really looking forward to this topic. This is prime us, I think.
This is 1 a.m. shit.
Yeah, this is proper.
This is real 1 a.m. with Tim Williams in Churchill's on Friday night stuff.
I'm picking players to bring back between trying to get a Lucky 88 feature. This is prime shit right here. Mate, we're going to start off with the West Tigers, obviously a team we spoke about on Bloke in a Bar the other day. They've put together a pretty handy squad. There are still a couple of holes in this team, and I'm very interested to hear who you select, because I've got about 5 names down here, and I really have no idea which of the 5 I'm going to go with. I'm hoping that you eliminate at least one of them, or I'm in some serious curry.
I've got 3 names here.
Yeah.
I think just because he's the man, I'm going to have to go with Benji.
Benji, okay.
You look at the Tigers halves. They've got Dewey and Brooks.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. Not a lot of depth in their halves at all. So, obviously, that was a big halfback, which is my other one. But, Benji, Rabbitoh's legend, of course.
Oh, Rabbit, yeah, of course, Bunny's legend.
He could just turn something into nothing. I think with his current team, I think a little combination he'd have with Coruscant would be good. It's probably more so if you go halfback, but
I was going to say, where would you play him? Would you play him at 7 or 6? And how would that affect the rest of the team as well?
I didn't think about that. I wish I did. I'd probably play him at 6.
Not ready for the bar, mate, I'm telling you.
I'd probably play him at 6, have Brooks at 7, and then Dewey.
Dewey at centre, or they're pretty short on centres? Can I throw one out to you?
Yeah.
You look at Dewey as a 13, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, they were going to go with Hastings, weren't they?
Yep.
And, I guess they're kind of similar. Kinda. Sort of, not really.
I think I'd rather him just be on ball than hanging out. If you were going to play him at centre, I think you'd have to give him a licence to roam around a little bit.
Yeah. I just think Benj, and the other, if you put Benji or someone else at halfback, then there's nowhere to put Brooks, really.
Yep.
So then what do you do? Then you've still got the same problem, So, for that reason alone, I'd probably go Benj at 6. Brooks, you've been talking about it a bit. Hopefully we see the best out of Brooks this year because Abby Coruscant's coming.
Yes.
And then we don't really know which side Papali'i's going to play, but, if he's on Brooks' side, which we probably don't think he will be, but if he is, then obviously Brooks is just, all Brooks has to do is what Brooks has to do. And then if you put Benji in, and then Benji's the best Tigers player in history.
Yeah,
he can do his thing there. So I think the Tigers as well, they're lacking more than just one thing, but Benji is more than something.
Yeah, exactly right.
I don't know
something extra.
I don't know how much better I can put that.
Yes.
He's their best ever player. So
before I go through my selected one, who are your other 2 names?
Scott Prince.
Yes.
Gareth Ellis.
Yeah, I looked at Gareth Ellis, but I think I'm okay with the forward pack as it is. I'll tell you, so the names that I had Scott Prince. I had James Tedesco as well. Another one that I would seriously consider. I love Dane Laurie. I love everything about him, but I think that you can maybe get away with a Brooks and a Dewey in the halves if you have James Tedesco. The other ones I looked at, which
Fuck, that's a good one.
I think it's
I
a
didn't
really
even
good shout.
think of Tedesco.
Yeah, I think it'd be a nice little get in that side. I think it'd make a huge difference bringing Teddy in. Scott Prince, he's a real standout for me, though. I'd love to play him at 7. Probably means that Brooksy doesn't have a spot in the team for me, though. Which
it's kind of the same situation. If
very similar.
7, yeah.
The other two that I considered, and this might be bending the rules a little bit, I picked 2 Balmain Tigers. So we're going back in the day.
Yeah.
I considered Wayne Pearce.
Yeah.
Just to be, your 13 there, a little bit of upside, fit as a fiddle. I think he'd just be a great leader that this team and sort of a link man between your forwards and your backs. The other one I consider, which is very old school, and you could play him in many positions, is the great Ellery Hanley. We spoke about him with Jackson Hastings. He could be the experienced guy in the centres that they need. He could play at 5'8" if you needed to. You can move Dewey around. You could also play him at 13, which is where I would sort of lean to. But
tell you what, who'd be good as well, if we're going back to Balmain, if you got like big enforcer Clemmer on one prop, you go either Blocker or Ciro.
Blocker or Ciro.
And then you've got like obviously the young guys, Alex Twal, Stefano coming through, like how good those two guys will be for them. I didn't think of Balmain either.
Yeah,
wow.
They'd be a team not to be fucked with. You could even, they obviously are the West Tigers. You could have a look at the Magpies. A Tommy Rodriguez, bringing him back would be sensational. There's a heap of options there. I'm leaning towards James Tedesco, though. I think he's the guy.
I think that's a really, really good one.
I think he'd make a big, big difference.
I think now I think Benji, when I was picking this, I thought Benji was the obvious choice. But now I'm thinking that these are the 2 obvious choices, and I don't think we could have really gone any other way.
Gun to head.
Yeah.
Only give me a 1-word response answer. Who's a better player, Benji Marshall or James Tedesco?
Teddy.
Okay. Fair.
But like, I feel.
I said 1 word. Thanks, Chef.
But full stop.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was stabbing myself when I said that.
Yeah.
Like that.
That was more so for my enjoyment.
That really hurt me.
Yeah, I know it did. That's good. So West Tigers.
They're different. You can't.
They are different. Yeah, no, for sure.
That, Guru. That's not fair.
West Tigers. You're bringing back Benji Marshall.
I'm going to give you a hard one later as well.
No, can't wait.
I'll get you back.
I'm going to bring back Teddy or Ellery Hanley, probably leaning towards Teddy, though, from the West Tigers,
Nice.
Which would, I don't know where I'd play Dane Laurie then, if I'd be able to stick him on a wing, maybe off a bench. I'm not quite sure.
I'm sure you would have. Did you watch Dane Laurie play for Penrith when he was like an SG ball on that?
Yes, weapon.
Like, he was one of the best. Every time I'd watch highlights of any SG ball or whatever, he'd be just in the thick of it.
Yep.
He was so, and like obviously he's a gun now anyway.
And when we talk about the Panthers, it's always Edwards, Taruva, Stephen Crichton. This is the guy we don't talk about enough, Dane Laurie.
And he was the big one coming through.
Yep. It's crazy. Yeah, incredible system. So West Tigers done and dusted. Our next one, the New Zealand Warriors. For me, I really like their pack. I think we are talking about them tomorrow. So you guys stay tuned for that. We're going through their best 17 tomorrow.
Episode.
Great episode, cracker. I really like their forward pack. So guys like, Ali Lauatiti, these sort of guys that I really like, your Ruben Wickies, probably lent away from them. I think that they've got a heap of players in the spine, but I think I want a champion in the spine.
Yeah.
Did you pick a 7?
So we've got 2 names.
I've got 2 as well, yeah.
Do we have the same 2?
I reckon there's a good chance we do. I had Stacey Jones and Roger.
Oh, I had Stacey Jones and James Maloney.
Jimmy, I like that.
Yeah, just a winner. I think with that young kind of, because obviously you got Chance, who's obviously been there. Johnson's like the experienced guy, but like I just think that like they need a winner in there, like an absolute winner. And I went James Maloney, but he was my second. I had Jones first.
That's a good shout, actually. I don't mind that. Yeah. So you'd play him at 5'8" with SJ at 7.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, if you go with the Stacey Jones route, he has to play 7. Means SJ plays 6. But I do wonder if you'd get a little bit more out of SJ if he was playing 6 and he didn't have to control the whole side.
I think as well, if you put Maloney in, what he would do for Ronald Volkman, for Luke Metcalf, for Tamara Martin, yeah.
And I know he's a modern day player, but I think Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, if you brought him back at fullback and you just locked him into that position, I think he would make such a huge difference for this side.
Oh, he's one of the best to ever do it. RTS. Real loss to rugby league when he went to uni.
Huge loss.
But Rugby World Cup's next year. Is he gonna make it? I don't even know.
I've got no idea. I don't think he's doing well as what us leagueies anticipated, but it sounds like he's doing as well as what all union predicted.
Like everyone tells me that you can't just walk into the All Blacks. Like you can probably walk into the Wallabies, but you can't just walk into the All Blacks. Like, that's why I remember when Ponga had his negotiations at the start of this year. Like, again, I got no idea. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I saw a lot of comments saying he's leaving it a bit late if he wants to play in the 2023 World Cup. Like, he needs a couple of good years playing, was it Super Rugby
or whatever it is,
You can't just walk into that All Blacks. That All Blacks team is, that whole All Blacks organisation is close to the best in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, every time I see, occasionally when I watch them play, there's always someone new that I haven't seen before and I haven't heard of who's a fucking weapon and would, in my opinion, shit into the Wallabies squad consistently. Yeah. I think I would go with... I actually think I would go with Roger. I really do.
Yeah.
I think I'd play him at fullback. I think that Stacey'd be a fantastic guy to bring back, but I'm going to back SJ to find some form going back home.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad saying Maloney over Stacey, but I
understand why you're doing it.
Yeah, just the way the team's set up at the moment.
You've also got to take in consideration that, Sean's obviously played with James Maloney as well. They've been to a grand final together. It's a combination that has worked.
Yeah. So for this current setup, and I mean, you know what? I can't really say, Maloney would be great for the young guys because Stacey Jones would arguably be better. He took him to a grand final as well. It's a tough one. I'd love to bring both back, but yeah, just the way I'd probably bring Maloney.
Yeah. Okay. Newcastle Knights. Now, there's obviously a standout for the Knights. Pretty handy halfback, Andrew Joey Johns.
Yep.
One of, if not the greatest of all time. Definitely the greatest 7 of all time, in my opinion. As I said off the top, I think you could have anyone in rugby league and you would still bring back Joey. I think Jackson Hastings would bring back Joey if he fucking could to play halfback. So we've taken Joey out because it's just too much of an easy answer when he's that good. It means you have to pick someone else to come back into this Knights side. When I have a look at the Newcastle team, I wouldn't mind. There's a front row spot that I would love to bring someone back to replace David Clemmer with. There's a fullback spot that's up for grabs. Potentially a wing centre spot up for grabs. So there's a few options. You still got Danny Badiris you could bring back. A lot of guys you could bring back here. You want me to go first here, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. I came down to 3 names, 3 guys that I was tossing up. First one was at fullback to replace Kalen Ponga. To replace the spot that Kalen Ponga's left to play 5'8". Robbie O'Davis.
Yep.
He's one I would seriously consider. I also think that in the outside backs and in the centres, I really like their side, but I just feel like they're one strike player short. So Matt Gidley, Tamana Tahu becomes appealing to me. But in the front row, bringing back a Paul Harrigan. That's a big standout for me. I would actually go with Robbie O'Davis, though. I just think they need a genuine fullback in that side. I think they can get by with everything else. Is that the guy, or have you got the other one for me is Ben Kennedy that I was looking at?
I got 3 names written down. Ben Kennedy would be great.
Yeah,
I'd probably have him just like Chief / Kennedy.
Actually, I know who you've gone for.
Who do you reckon?
I reckon it's Bedsy.
No. So the reason I didn't go Bedsy, and Bedsy is close to my favourite player of all time, is because they've got Jaden Brayley there at the moment. Yeah. So I'm just going off. Obviously, Bedsy's better than, he's one of the best to ever do it.
Yep.
But just for the sake of this, if I'm going to bring back anyone, of course it's going to be Joey and Bedsy. Obviously it's going to be Joey and Bedsy. Yep. So I've kind of on purpose not picked Bedsy because it is kind of obvious, just like Joey as well, and because their captain is their hooker. He's
a bloody good player too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was torn. My bronze medal was Robbie O, so I'm glad you said that. My top 2 are Paul Harrigan.
Yeah.
And I like your theory, with the backs, but I'll talk about the Chief first. So obviously Clemmer's gone. The Saifidi twins need to step up this year.
Yep.
They've already stepped up, but they need to step up again. But just having Chief there would just be incredible. And I probably will lean towards having Chief as my pick. But I didn't go Gidley or Tahu. I went Aquila Uarte.
Ooh, Aku, wow.
I love Uarte. And I tell you who loved Uarte? Andrew Johns. Andrew Johns fucking loved Uarte. Just having someone who can just firstly break every tackle, every first contact ever. When he's 10 metres close to the try line, he's always going to score. And I think, what did the Knights lack last year? They lacked points. I think they need someone like Uarte who can who can just score points. So yeah, it's a grand final for me out of Uarte and the Chief. Look, I'm probably going to go Chief, but because they got Gagai there, they got Bradman Best there who's coming through. I know they're both centers and Uarte was on the wing, but obviously Dom Young had a good year last year as well. So I'll back those guys in. I guess there is another spot there. It'd be very easy to put Uarte in.
Yeah,
very easy. I think I'm starting to convince myself actually that I should put Uarte in, but I just think the Knights, a big alpha dog leader like the Chief will be good for the Saifidis, good for their whole forward pack. Yeah, I think I'm going the Chief.
I'll tell you what, you're a fiend for pulling out a rogue winger that I never would have thought of between Sisawonga, Aku Uarte.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Just going through his career, there was a 4-year span where he scored more than 15 tries every single year. That's incredible. And this wasn't like a stacked Newcastle Knights team with Joey Johns setting him up either. Like, he was an absolute freak, Uarte. Obviously got to play Origin and whatnot. Had his, defensively occasionally, you could get him under a high ball occasionally, but just try-scoring ability, close to unmatched. He was incredible at his peak.
And it's like, I loved it. Like, normally when you think Fiji, you think of like fast, and he was quick as well, but just his strength.
Yeah.
Like, it was... I know it's kind of a bit more normal these days, but 10 years ago, there wasn't many wingers like that. You probably had him, you had Manu Vatuvei, you had, to an extent, Blake Ferguson. He was a little bit later. I'll never forget the one day Inglis stopped him, and which was no one else in the history of the game could have done it probably.
Except the ball off him too, didn't he?
Took the ball off him, yeah. It was freakish, but like, it was just the biggest, oh man.
And it took a GI to do that.
No one else would have done it.
No
one else in my lifetime would have done it. I don't know if Mal Menigan might have been able to do it. Maybe Latrell could do it, but maybe. Who knows?
You're talking the top 0.001.
Genetic freaks.
The apex of the rugby league predator. Yeah.
I love Aku. He's the man. But yeah, I'll go Harrigan.
Yeah, the more we spoke about Chief, the more I was convinced there. But I just think if you told me today that Lockie Miller had signed, I'd go Chief for sure.
Yeah.
But just because there's still an open spot there, I think I'd go with Robbie O'Davis there. I'll tell you who is, and he's not, that top echelon player, but he's one of my favourite players to watch of all time. Never hit the heights that he probably should have, but selfishly, give me Owen Craigie any day of the week. The big O. I think Joey once described him as the most talented player he's ever seen. And, if you're sort of our age or a little bit younger and you maybe remember Owen Craigie when he came back for South Sydney and what was it? A light, that jersey that they wore, had the light bulb across the bottom.
Did he come back for
Was it? I think he was there the first year, wasn't he?
Yes, that'd be TV week.
TV week, that's it.
I think a light was 03.
And he obviously, he spent time at the Tigers. He spent time at South Sydney. I think he went over to Widnes over there in England as well. Doing really good things. Big O up there in Newcastle. I think his brand is called Chase the Energy. So check him out, doing really good things. But when he was playing for the Newcastle Knights, some of the shit he was capable of doing, I still think he's the best. Probably outside of Phil Blake, probably the best chip over the top guy. He could just do it so naturally, so well. So selfishly, I would bring back the big O. But
it's amazing what you remember as kids. He was like one of the first players I met. My dad took me to, I think it might have been a Rebel Sport in Maroubra maybe. Yeah. And I got Owen Craigie to sign my footy card. I think I might still have it actually. Love a look.
Fuck, he was a good player. So much ability. Crazy. He's the only guy to make Australian schoolboys 3 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he made it 10, 11, 12.
Wow.
Crazy. No one else has done it. Freddie made it 2. Like a heap of these, a stack of them made it 2 years on the trot, but Owen Craigie's the only one to make it for 3 years. And he made it from like Maitland High or something too. Like he wasn't fucking unbelievable. Freakish player.
Who was your first autograph? Or anything?
You know what? This will sound bizarre. I don't know if I've ever got an order. I was never into it as a kid. Yeah, I don't. I think I would have probably got a Freddie at some point, maybe. Oh, I've got like a heap of jerseys at home that I got when I was a kid that I signed, but I don't think I ever remember waiting out the back of a stadium to sign footy cards or anything. But
I got a good one. So my dad used to be a teacher. Well, he's a principal now, but like he used to be a school teacher at Maris Cogra.
Yep.
And Keith Galloway debuted for the Sharks when he was in school.
Big Red.
So, and I think this would have been 2003. My dad took me to like the year 12 graduation or something when he was there, and I got to sit next to him during the year 12 graduation. I've got this autograph book.
Yeah.
And I'll post a photo on my Insta later. It's from Keith Galloway. It was like saying, "Dear Matty, go the Sharks" or something. But he's like, "I'm sure the Rabbitohs will come good one day." Because this was 2003 when they were dog shit.
That's mad.
And I sent it to him after we won the comp on Instagram. He had no idea who I was. But I'll get it. You know what? Well, after this drops, I'll get a photo. I'll put it on my Instagram.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget with Keithy Galloway, and he actually posted a picture the other day of him and Bryce Gibbs having lunch. It was my old sparring partner or something, he said. And that video of them two at training, that's the peak of rugby league.
That's
the
best.
fucking best. Unreal. I'm not sure how we got onto Keith Galloway. No fucking idea. No idea. 'Tis the beauty of the show. Let's move to our last side here.
Oh, yeah, we still have one more.
One more to go. The Gold Coast Titans. And, mate, I'll go first here.
Yep.
Credit to this guy. I always say on this show how underappreciated and how underrated this guy is. I almost picked him for two teams today, Scotty Prince. You've obviously got the Titans up there. They've signed Kieran Foran. Personally, if I could bring back Scott Prince, I would. I think that Foz is a better 6 than he is 7, but I think he will 100% do a job for the Titans. If Scott Prince could just give this team the direction that they need and play him at 7, which means I would move Foz to 6, which means I'd play Brimson at 1. Which means Campbell just has to get stuck out on a wing, centre, something. I just have to put him somewhere. If I've got the opportunity to get a guy like Scott Prince, you've seen the impact that quality halfbacks have had on this competition over the last 2 years. If I can bring back a Scott Prince, I would have to do it in a heartbeat. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I like that. I like Scotty Prince. He was definitely one that I thought of. And if I didn't pick Greg Bird, I'm picking, I probably would have picked Prince. Thought about Matty Rogers as well. But I just think this Titans team, and I think with Foran, they're bringing this, but I compare the Titans to the Cowboys last year all the time. Maybe just because they're the Queensland teams, but, the Titans, most people had the Titans ahead of the Cowboys to the start of last year.
Yep.
A lot of people did. I know I did. I had Cowboys as a spoon. So, but the difference was the Cowboys had that fucked preseason where they had contact every day in that heat, and they turned into one of the grittiest teams in the comp. And I think the Titans need to do that as well. They need to just a bit more grit in their team. I know Isaac Liu is a good example of someone who brings that. Now they've brought Foran. He's not the forwards, but he's the toughest cunt in the world. So he brings something like that. I think Greg Bird brings that. And not only he brings a lot of other things as well. That's why I thought of maybe Luke Bailey or someone, but Greg Bird brings a bit of cunt, which is what you need. But also he's basically a 5'8". So he's a fight. He can play lock. He can play in the back row. He can play on the edge. He can play 5'8". He can kick goals if you need him to. And the Titans are missing a goal kicker. Greg Bird, one of my favourites. You know what? I'm not even going to say that because he was everyone's favourite when it comes to Origin when you're a Blues fan.
When you're a Blue. Yeah.
We were losing every year, but Greg Bird, you were so proud to have Greg Bird in your team. And I'd change nothing about Greg Bird's on-field achievements. He was just, I loved him at Cronulla as well when he was, when it was him and Paul Gallen,
Bash
the Bash
Brothers.
Fuck, man, I love Greg Bird. So yeah, I'd bring him back. You could slot him pretty much anywhere.
I don't have it up in front of me at the moment, but we have spoken about it in the past. Just the amount of Man of the Match awards that Greg Bird came up with. So throughout his Origin career, he came up with 3 Man of the Match awards for New South Wales. Just to give you an example of other guys, Darren Lockyer for Queensland, he had 3. So the same as Greg Bird. Andrew Johns had 4, so he had 1 more than Greg Bird. Yeah. And as I said on that show a few weeks ago, it should be noted that of Greg Bird's 3 Man of the Matches for New South Wales, 2 of them was when he was playing 5'8", and he played a grand total of 3 games at 5'8" for New South Wales. So he's running at a 66% Man of the Match rate when he's playing 5'8" against the best Queensland team we've ever seen.
Pretty sure it was back-to-back games as well.
Yeah, it was.
Might have been different years.
It was game 3 and game 1.
Yeah. I love Greg Bird. He's the man.
And you wouldn't have had him at 5'8" at the start of either of those seasons.
And that's what I meant. I didn't word it right when I was I wouldn't change anything about his on-field achievements. Obviously, on-field achievement was the wrong word. Like, because he's a bit of a grub. That's what I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change the cut in him when he takes the field. There's nothing I change about him because that's what I reckon the Titans need. That's what the Blues needed back in the day, and I love him.
That's crazy. Like when you have a look at, I think when you talk about, the greatest Origin players of all time, Wally Lewis obviously right up there. Played 30-odd games at 5'8", man of the match on 8 occasions, which is incredible. Greg Bird, 2 from 3. Thurston,
Crazy.
5 man of the match awards. Greg Bird got 2 in 3 games. Like it's, and I know it's not a fair comparison to make, but it is so fucking impressive when you consider how good Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, all these guys were. Yeah. And here's Greg Bird playing out of position for 1 game a season, and he's able to match it with the very best out of them. It's just what Origin's all about. It's unreal. Mate, is there anyone else from the Gold Coast Titans that springs to... Like, I know you mentioned Matt Rogers. I think he'd be a really good shout at centre if you could bring him back. I'll tell you who else. If I could just bring in one individual season, I believe it was 2014, the season James Roberts had for the Gold Coast Titans. Oh, yeah. When he played centre that year, he was unbelievable. Incredible.
What about how they fucked that up?
Oh, good God. It's one of the great bed shits of all time, isn't it?
Oh, Jimmy the Jet.
I'll tell you who else I'd love to bring back. And you know what? They probably don't need him, but I would love to see Luke Bailey come back into this side.
Yeah, I thought of him.
Yeah, him and Tino up front, Aaron Clark at 13. That'd be a forward pack that you just wouldn't want to mess with. The other one that played a lot for the Kangaroos from the Gold Coast Titans was Anthony LaFranchi.
Yeah.
Is it LaFranchi or LaFranchi?
I remember it as LaFranchi.
LaFranchi. So do I, but I've heard LaFranchi recently. He's another one that I'd love to bring back in their back row. They probably don't need it with Fafita and Beau Fermor, but another really talented player. Mate, that do us?
Who else? I'm just looking through there. Their most capped player. Guess who their most capped player is?
For the Gold Coast Titans. I'm going to say Mark Minicello.
Yeah, bang.
How many games?
173. Ash Harrison. He was...
Fuck, Ashley Harrison was a good player
too. He's, so good.
You don't really need to look at dummy halves now. They've got Sam Verrills either. Nathan Friend was obviously great for a very long time up there and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we will be back with our next episode of the off-season. We'll be going through the next 4 sides on the ladder, talking off the dome. That'll be Manly, Brisbane, St. George, and someone else, Canterbury.
Manly, Brisbane, St. George, Bulldogs,
Yeah. So that is the last 4 teams of the bottom 8 from last season. And then next week, we'll be getting into the top 8 teams broken into 2 podcasts, bringing back 1 player from each. So I like this.
This is good. This is fun.
It's great.
This is fun.
It's very us. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us once again on the off season. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff for us. And we'll see you on the next episode.